Liquid Loans is the first truly decentralized lending protocol built specifically for PulseChain. Fully backed stablecoin, low 100% collateral ratio, no repayment schedule, immutable, governance-free, no admin keys. Visit liquidloans.io to learn more or to watch videos to find out how it works. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Zone 5 PulseChain podcast. Today, we are going to be marking a transition here as Cassie and I are going to be moving on from the PulseChain podcast, and Corey's going to be taking it over as we do what we do in crypto. We came in, we got involved in the community, we have made the podcast, we have a meme coin over there in PulseChain. We did some work with Alvera Protocol to make sure some PulseChain assets are going to be available on Ethereum even. And we've done a lot of cool things. But I move around in this space and I can't stay dedicated to one thing too long because I start getting out of touch with the other stuff. And so we're still in the PulseChain community. We're still going to be, we have Bro Coin or the Bro token, and the PulseChain podcast will continue. But just so everybody knows, this is our last kind of episode of this iteration of the PulseChain podcast, episode 10. Thank you to our sponsor, Liquid Loans, sponsored all 10 episodes of this iteration. And now I would like to introduce to you someone that she really needs no introduction, but I'm going to give her one anyways because my favorite thing is introducing her. She is the most elite and the most exclusive of all duchesses. That is including the new movie that has a duchess in it, and that's also including some duchess over there in some foreign land. I don't know, Ireland, Scotland. I don't know where these duchesses are, but they have them. But this one's better than all of them. Her name is Cassie Wolf, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show today.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, she gets an elite intro for an elite lady.
But Corey's intro, I really love Corey's intro too.
Well, let's. Would you like to do Corey's intro today?
No, please do.
Guys, look. Sometimes when you go to a party, you bring some cake. That's what you do. You bring some cake when you come to a party. It's a birthday party. You bring a birthday cake. It's a cheese party. You bring a cheesecake, right? We don't bring, no. That's not the kind of cake we bring around here. When we get ready to PulseChain party, we bring the beefcake. Corey Costa, the man can bench press a house. Let's go, Corey. What is that?
Wife beater on too.
That's right, yo. I come prepared, yo. I come with the whole New York get up, yo. Cake. So about cake, I got my family a funfetti cake with funfetti.
Oh man,
it was incredible.
What I used to do when I was a kid is I would just eat the funfetti icing that my mom would buy.
Bro, that's incredible. I still do it. I don't care. I'm almost 30. I still do it.
That's nice, man. Well, you know what I like is when they have the little sprinkles on the top of the icing, and you can cut it and then put it in and mix it with this.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's some good icing in right there. Icing on the cake, a great Baskin Robbins milkshake. Icing on the cake. It's really good.
Yes.
So, and one of the great things about Corey's intro, when we intro Corey, is we get to complete the dominoes of intros here as we now have to intro our guest, and Corey is going to do that for us now.
I am with a good friend, somebody who has supported me from the beginning, that I've been involved in PulseChain for almost 3 years now, who supported me in the beginning. He is one of the founders of the Nope and Solid X tokens on PulseChain. He created the No Permissions group, which is an amalgamation of different projects on PulseChain coming together and speaking together, and basically almost like a DAO in itself, where people come and exchange ideas and collaborate on different projects and the growth of PulseChain. So without further ado, Randy Hilarski. Randy, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Corey. Thank you. Guys, I brag about it, but I was his either second or third interview that he ever did. And I've always support the new guys, and because it's them who build up these new podcasts and really start bringing us attention. So what you're doing in seeding Corey here to help, obviously it's going to help grow your brand, grow Corey's brand. It just helps everybody. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys doing that for Corey and bringing him up the ladder. It's just it's a wonderful thing to do.
Corey's always been my PulseChain satellite. He's been the thing that has kept me connected to PulseChain even when I haven't been kind of connected to it. So and that's going to continue. We're going to continue. I'm still going to continue to support PulseChain, obviously. And we just, if everybody wants to know the real truth, like you want to know the real truth, we just don't have time to do the show, unfortunately.
That's a lot,
It's a lot of scheduling, and Cassie's doing a lot of legal stuff. We got court stuff all the time, and it's been kind of hard to schedule, and that's one reason why we're passing it on. It's not because we're not committed or anything like that. We just hope everybody knows that we've really enjoyed doing this, and we've had a good time with the guests and things like that. But the PulseChain podcast will continue through Corey, and Corey is one of the best up-and-coming influencers in the PulseChain community and beyond. So I think that's great. Well, I would like to say, Randy, welcome to the show. And I think that I've got a topic I would like for us to talk about kind of to start the show.
Is it time travel?
It's not time travel, actually, this time.
Okay.
Would you like to talk about time travel in the show?
No.
I want to
I
talk
was just
about
wondering.
I want to talk about Tekashi 6ix9ine,
Oh,
Yes.
who attacked Richard Hart recently on Twitter.
I mean, that was pretty much today.
Yeah.
I responded to that, and I kept trying to tell everyone, listen, like, you know, don't be antagonistic towards him. He's new to crypto. I've been trying to DM him and say, like, listen, like, you know, if you want to talk with me about just broad crypto stuff. And then I said to him, like, I'm really curious to hear your perspectives on Richard Hart and PulseChain. You know, I'm curious to hear your thoughts given the fact that you're new to crypto. And all his response was basically just gay. That was basically his response. It wasn't anything that was substantive like that, like Richard Hart was a scammer, or that, you know, PulseChain was basically, you know, not a blockchain. It was basically, you know, he said that, you know, all you MFers are going to get rugged. But then I asked him a legitimate question, and he just said, just gay. Whatever, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Can't really argue with someone like that, I guess.
Well,
I'm trying to be civil with him. I'm trying to be civil.
Good for you.
how much do y'all know about Tekashi 6ix9ine?
I don't
A lot
have
more
any-
than I should. A lot more
Yeah,
than I
I know
should.
pretty good. I know pretty good bit as well. Yeah, it was statutory rape for sure.
Yes.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he definitely. I think the girl was 15. I think, if I remember correctly, he definitely was with an underage girl and got in a lot of trouble for it. And then he snitched on people who were in his crew or whatever, and he ended up, I think, getting out of the legal trouble by snitching on. That's why everybody calls him a rat. He did a video where he came out and he was like a rat in a suit because everybody's calling him a rat because he's snitching on everybody.
Wow.
And I personally, Tekashi 6ix9ine, there's a song or two. Well, look, I like one song. I like Fifi, the song he does, but I only like that because I like Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj is in that one. I don't think Tekashi 6ix9ine is a really good rapper. He was actually one of the people that Carlos was trying to get as an advisor for Bitcoin.
Oh God.
So that tells you everything you need to know right there.
Yeah.
No, it's funny you bring that up because I barely listen to rap anymore. I used to listen to it when I was younger. I just don't listen to it anymore because I just don't like the message anymore. But with that being said, I did like his song Guomo, Billy. Got the other one. I really don't keep up with them anymore. But there were a few of them that I actually had a good tune to them. Yeah. But
I think that one was okay. The one that he made right after he snitched on everybody, that one was okay. But I think what do you, Randy? What do you think about? First of all, let me ask you this question. We know Tekashi 6ix9ine is a person in crypto, right? He's been in crypto for a little bit. He's not super known in crypto, but he's one of these people that's been on the fringe, messed with some meme tokens here and there. And I think when you look at this, a lot of times when you have people calling each other out in the rap game, it's what?
It's part of the entertainment.
Right.
Oh, right.
Exactly. You hit it. It's beef, right? What's beef? They come up with this beef, and some of it's legit. Seems like maybe Kendrick Lamar really hates Drake, but like
he does.
A lot of these guys don't really actually hate each other when they have beef with each other. And I don't know, like, think about all the attention that this is bringing, and then you think about, remember the Andrew Tate thing where there was some rumors that maybe he actually attacked Ben.eth on purpose and was part of trying to make the price of whatever coin it was go up. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know. And I know Richard Hart and Andrew Tate share some people behind the scenes I know. So my thing is this real? Like, how much attention did this put on PulseChain today?
Done. And we just talked about this yesterday. We had a space that the 9-inch team put on Money Game Crypto and those guys yesterday. It went on for about 4 hours, and we were talking about this exact topic. You know, how do we bring attention? Why is PulseChain not even in the top 15 anymore of VMs, which is quite disappointing. And you have these new ones. I'm like, what is this? Never even heard of it before. Out of nowhere, this thing pops up, and it's got more volume and TVL and all this lock. I'm like, this cannot be happening right now. So we had 4 hours of this discussion yesterday.
Yeah.
Why we need more people like Tekashi 69.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're gonna beef, include us.
Yeah, no, I really do believe that right now we're at a pivotal moment with what's going on with PulseChain, because we've been hovering between $5 and $9 million with a 24-hour volume, which, if we can be honest with each other, is relatively low. And I do believe it comes with the fact that Richard right now has just been tweeting and has been as I really do think there's an indicator of how Hex performed in the last run. And maybe I'm really wrong on this, but how Hex performed in the last run and Richard's appearance in cryptocurrency. And now that Richard has unfortunately had to take a step back because of the SEC case, I do think that you have the amalgamation of the suppression of price because of the SEC case, just like what happened with Ripple in the last run, with what happened, it didn't hit its all-time high because the SEC was encroaching over the ecosystem. And now you have, Richard not being able to stream, which has been also an unfortunate thing. So we're basically a community right now that needs to create, not quasi, but leadership in the community when the head honcho is no longer right now, like, being at the helm. And that's a big deal.
Yeah.
In today's market, keeping investments safe is a top priority. Thanks to Liquid Loans, the sponsor of the Zone 5 podcast, there's a smart way to protect and grow your assets. Their platform offers a stable shield against market volatility. Interested in transforming your financial landscape? Visit liquidloans.io and find out how to make your assets work harder for you. It's a strategy worth exploring.
Remember the movie Remember the Titans?
Yeah.
I do. Is that like an announcement of announcement? I do remember the Titans.
Yes. Well, remember the part where the one kid says to his friend, not friend, but he said to the other ball player, he says, attitude reflects leadership. Yeah. And I think that's the problem we have in PulseChain right now, because we don't have any real leadership. I mean, I even admit I put a gate in front. You have to be in a paywall now to even engage with me. I stopped live streaming. I have my community, about 420 Patreon members. We're behind a wall. And there's no shit slinging or any of that stuff going on behind the wall. We don't have any of these issues. It's all kumbaya. It's a good time, helping each other out, as Corey has learned. And then you go outside of that wall and you go back into the Twitter ecosystem. You're like, oh my God,
it's bad.
Right.
There's terrible people on Twitter.
Well, I've seen some posts, because I follow quite a few people in Pulse, as well as Hex, and I've seen some not very positive posts.
Well, I think
come out of just the last few days.
Are you done? I don't want to speak.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm done.
I think what it boils down to is this. I'm going to say something that I think is going to surprise a lot of people. I'm not worried about PulseChain at all. I'm not worried about PulseChain. I'm not worried about the price. I'm not worried about it at all. And here is why. Okay. Is because we have all been fooled. We have been tricked. And I had a hair in my mouth, but I also was tricked. I believed that Bitcoin hitting a new all-time high before the halving meant the cycle started early. It did not.
That's what I thought. Yep.
I thought, right, because I laid out several scenarios, and my scenario where Bitcoin hits an all-time high in May is ripping past 100K in September, and hitting 150K sometime between the end of the year and Q2 of next year, and the bull run was going to be over probably around April Fool's Day. Now, it still could. We still could get. People should pay attention this time, I believe, more to the number than the time frame. Last time we paid more attention to the time frame, and that was good. And then we also paid a lot of attention to the number, and then that hurt us. I actually think this time, is going to be backwards. I think we need to pay much more attention to the number. When Bitcoin gets above 120, especially if it hits between 130 and 150, get out. That's going to be the end of it. That's going to be it. They're not going to allow it. Now that I understand that the whole market is fake, not just crypto, they're not going to allow it to go much higher than that. They're just not. And now that puts it at a 3x, which is about the same gains they got last time. So they're going to be happy with that. And a lot of these projects have pulled back to also be present to get bigger gains, like Tau and Render that really ripped. Well, they came way back to earth, so they're set up for big gains again in the second part of the run. And my whole thing is this, is that now I am much more of the belief, and I spoke with Mr. X too, and he kind of indicated that this is the way I should be thinking, is that Bitcoin is going to do the same thing it's always done. It did something early this time. That's because of the ETF. Okay. That did matter, and that did get us up, and it pushed Bitcoin into the spotlight. But the cycle has not actually started yet. We are still in the post-halving lull. And because of that, the numbers say in about 33 days is when we should about see things going up. And so we should really look at September as, okay, September. Last time it really started running in October in 2020. Now in 2024, I was right on that. Now that I'm thinking about it, I was reading that comment on the show today. I was right. It is that since in the last cycle, it started ripping in October. And this cycle, because the halving was a month earlier, it should start ripping in September. Okay. And that's what we're probably going to see, I think. If that doesn't happen, there is a scenario where at the end of the year, but we're getting rate cuts next month, I believe. And I think that's going to kick it off. I think the rate cuts are going to kick it off. I think they are going to drop
possibly two rate cuts 2 months in a row.
Well, they're saying they may drop a 0.5% on the first go instead of 0.25. And I don't know if that's what they were saying a few weeks ago. So if that's the case, what I'm saying is we are just now about to start running. And if that's true, then there's nothing for the PulseChain or the Hex people to worry about. The Hex people, you've got to divide, of course. You have the Pulse and Ethereum, so it's a little different. But PulseChain is kind of the primary product now, as we know. And I think that if we're not in the middle of a bull run, and we're actually, believe it or not, we're actually at the beginning, I think that once things start running, PulseChain is going to run just like everything else. And will it run as much as people wanted it to? I don't know if anything's going to, right? Maybe a few things, but I just think that personally, I'm not worried about it because everybody right now that's in PulseChain, I believe, or almost all the people, they're operating off of, we're kind of in the middle of this bull market that had already started, where our gains at, and they don't have them. But in reality, that's where a lot of people are. It didn't have that first big run up. Why? Because it wasn't gaming, it wasn't AI, it wasn't in one of those wheelhouses, meme coins. It wasn't in there that pumped.
Right.
Layer ones didn't really pump. Ethereum, I mean, we had Solana, right? You had some of them, some of the trendy ones. But, you know, PulseChain by default was just not going to pump. It's not high enough in the rankings to just pump when things go up necessarily. And it didn't.
We're primarily DeFi, right? Most of our stuff is DeFi and PulseChain.
Exactly. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I just think, I think that kind of I understand why people are upset, but I actually think now, I believe now that I was wrong when I said I thought the cycle was early. And I think we're going to have just a pretty much a normal cycle. And I'm really considering changing my prediction back to July instead of, I don't think we're going to go at the end of the year. I mean, it just, the higher the money gets, I think kind of the shorter the cycles are going to get, not drastically. And I do believe also, I officially announce recently that I also do believe now for sure that we will get another full bull and bear cycle after this bull and bear.
Oh, really?
I agree.
I do.
Go ahead, Cassie.
Oh, no, I was just, that was news to me, which is good though,
because
I've been a naysayer. I've been a naysayer thinking that this was the last big one.
Well,
me too.
For me personally, like if you look at 2021, like 2021 should have ended around March, but we had that FTX run up, which was artificial in September, October. So if you look at this cycle, I agree. I really do believe, because I wanted to believe it, that this was going to be a shortened cycle. But then when you looked at, you know, and I said this in my last stream as well, that like, because the halvening happened 1 month earlier, we should start seeing movement in September and October, and it aligns perfectly with also the pre-election euphoria and anxiety and
you're hitting on it now.
Emotional standpoints that you'll have from the election, and then it would make sense. Whoever, you know, I think we all are in agreement on who we want to win. But if that person is elected in November, I think that will be a pinnacle reason for the bull market. And then basically, if you look at altcoins, you really only have, you know, for their all-time highs and their runs, they really only have 1.5 to 3 months to really sell And I do believe, and I do agree with you, Ben. I don't think we're going to the quarter millions like what people have said. I don't think we're going to 200,000.
No.
I think
we will eventually,
of course. But
Yeah.
but we're in an asset class of diminishing returns.
Mhm.
We really are. It's
Yeah.
becoming more mature, and with more maturity leads to less gains. It's just a matter of truth.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think, look, I would actually, I do want to push back on one thing that you said. No, I agree with everything else, but I would agree. I don't think, I think the second top of the last bull run was artificial. I think that, I know that Richard said that it was going to be the top in March, but I had said for 2 years, the top should be between Halloween and Thanksgiving. And it hit exactly in that time frame. What happened is we were supposed to get not a similar cycle necessarily to 2013, where you did have two distinct run-ups, but the second run-up in 2013 was just freaking massive. It was between the end of 2013 and 2014, it blew the first one away, and the first one was massive. So the one we just got was basically a double top, essentially. I believe that we were going to get another top, and it was going to go to 100 and 120. And I was told, and I still believe that was supposed to happen. There was supposed to be an XRP lawsuit or settlement in that fall, and there was an offer, and it was rejected. And then Bitcoin was supposed to hit $100,000. But the stuff that FTX was doing, see, this is what people don't understand. Like, people still don't know this. And it doesn't matter how many times I talk about it, like, so many people don't understand it. I said, when you guys remember when FTX got hacked, they froze withdrawals and stuff, and then that weekend, it was like a Saturday night, they got hacked. Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay. So no, they did get hacked, but it was intentional. They hacked themselves, and the reason why they did that was to destroy data. And you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. They logged in and they moved a bunch of money, but what do you mean the website's still up? You could go in and get your transaction, right? But you know, it doesn't work. The API of the website, meaning all of the API that was fed into TradingView on any chart you wanted to look at, whether it was volume or whether it was the price or the chart or perpetual futures or derivative, whatever you wanted to look at, all of a sudden in one moment, it's gone. So if you didn't have it, you didn't have screenshots of what happened, then you didn't have it. Now, there was a guy on Twitter that had done a screenshot and had already been onto this before the FTX thing, before it all fell. And what he saw is I think it was back in August or September, the ratio of shorts to longs on FTX was like 81% to 19% or something like that. It was, you don't see that. You don't see that. That is such, and it was over a long period of time because they were counterfeiting the tokens on the exchange because they were just doing it with numbers on the back end of the website on what people could see on the exchange. They didn't actually have to have anything backing it until they had to have it, which was bank run, and they didn't have it. So what they were doing is they were creating these tokens, and they were using people could just keep shorting it because they just kept creating new tokens on the exchange, and that kept pushing all these prices down. And the people that kept shorting it, they kept winning. It's because they were doing it with house money because they were controlling the price. That was them doing it internally. Alameda doing it themselves, a lot of it, and all of that stuff disappeared. So you can't go back and you can't look at that anymore. And in my opinion, that was the thing that caused the top of the market. We were going to hit 100K, but FTX behind the scenes, manipulation of Tether, manipulation of Celsius, manipulation of everything. That is what, in my opinion, actually, kind of, led to the situation. I think, or led to the top of the market where we didn't go as high as we should have. And there was a rogue group. There was a rogue group, including Sam Bankman-Fried and his family and his people that are related to WF and stuff. And then you also have, you have the bank. Who else do you have? What am I talking about? What's your thought?
You were talking about the rogue group with Sam.
Yeah, and Gary Gensler. And I believe I now know maybe who some of the other players in that group are. And I believe that these could be the same people that, who knows? I'm not saying these people specifically, but I think members of this group may potentially have something to do with the Trump assassination plot as well. I think there are still people out there that are doing things against what the popular ideas are of, we'll call them the overlords. And they're doing it for their own personal gain and personal benefit. And, you know, Gary Gensler has been punished. I don't think Gary Gensler is going to, you know, his punishment now is, yeah, he gets, if Kamala Harris wins, he'll get to be the Treasury Secretary.
Kamala Harris.
That's a joke. That's actually meant to embarrass Gary Gensler and isolate Kamala Harris even further. And so I believe that in 2020, in 2021, I think we should have actually got a higher top, and that would have fallen more in line with what we've seen a lot of times. But the momentum wasn't there, and I said during that time that in July it was going to bounce back, and it did, and it started up. It did hit a new all-time high. I was right when I said it would, just not about how high it will go up after that. And I think that when you look at, I know I've been ranting for a long time here, but I think this is a really important issue. And I think if there's a gift I can give the PulseChain people as we kind of move on, and I'll be on the show sometimes, and look, I'll also be around. But the thing is that just chill. Don't be worried. Relax. Aaron Rodgers, RELAX. If we get to the end of the year and Bitcoin has hit a brand new all-time high, and Ethereum is close or has hit a new all-time high, and PulseChain hasn't moved, it's time to worry, okay? Because now we really have seen the first leg of the traditional bull run, and that's best case scenario. Worst case is that's the second run up and you didn't move at all, which I don't think is going to happen. But I believe that the post-halving was kind of a big bull trap, even though we hit new all-time highs. And I think that it was always going to go back down very low. I said 48, it went to 48.6. And now that it's starting to move again, it's time to think, okay, in September, October, November, these should be good times for PulseChain folks. And you also have the Richard Hart lawsuit, the hearing going at that point will bring a lot of publicity. And I think who knows? I've never asked what Mr. X's opinion is of Richard Hart. I should probably ask him. He'll give me some opinions.
Yeah, but Ben, are you going to come to New York? I'm coming.
That's the plan.
Yeah, I think that is a plan. We were going to, and then we were going to go to the BRICS conference, and then we thought maybe they'll take our passport if we go to the BRICS conference. So I think we are going to go. We're going to like have maybe my birthday up there. My birthday is October 27th. Nice. So, but just the last thing, I know I've been ranting for a while, but I want to say one last thing. You see, I used to believe that the Bitcoin halving, okay, I used to believe that the Bitcoin halving caused the price of Bitcoin to go up. I used to believe that the Bitcoin miners, the supply shock, and all the buzzwords that all of the YouTubers and the news reporters would tell us is that, well, the price that they're earning gets cut in half, so they've got to hold it more now. They can't sell it, and that's what caused the price to go up is the mining action. Well, the numbers do not back that up at all. It backs it up 0%. In fact, the last bull run, which I've said several times, was the first one that miners actually accumulated the first 6 months after the halving instead of got rid of.
Right.
Okay.
Usually they sell, don't they?
Usually they sell, right? And the idea is that they hold on to it. No, they sell, and they still sell. They didn't sell as much. They actually held more than they sold last time because the numbers have gone down of how much they're earning. So my point is, what I've come to realize, you really hit on it when you talked about the election, okay? Our entire financial system is fake. Our entire financial system is a Ponzi scheme. Therefore, okay, that means that when it comes to train of thought,
the entire financial system is a Ponzi and fake. So when it comes to, you're going to talk about Bitcoin.
What was I just talking
going
about?
Up.
Oh, right. Okay. Since the entire world the entire world financial system is a Ponzi scheme, okay, it all has to look normal, right? Because when they freeze withdrawals, even on Binance, on one coin for an hour, but that's your coin that's in your portfolio and you just happen to need it out at that time, you go there and what do you think?
Like,
it's all over.
They're going to take all my money.
Oh no, oh no, what's going on here, right? Everything has to work and sync together. Robinhood can't do the same thing either, okay? Mm-hmm. So Robinhood and Binance and the stock market and the Bitcoin, the YouTuber, like everybody's got to be swimming in the same direction to make the Ponzi scheme continue. And I'm not talking about crypto. I'm talking about the whole. There's more debt. Debt is the only real money in the world. There's more fake money than real money in the world by a considerable margin. The only real money is gold and debt. And that's it. Bitcoin, you can make some argument there, but I'm not going to right now. The point is that since it all has to be made to look normal, and we're about to go through a giant change in our financial system as we move towards BRICS pay away from the US dollar as a reserve currency, it makes so much sense for them to cap it at 150 here and then move it above 225 or whatever in the next one, because right now they need the money in the crypto markets because it's a big part of the overall economy now. It's $3 trillion. A lot of that money's fake, but the other money's fake too. So unless our entire financial system goes pop, which isn't going to happen, I think, for another 100 years or so, then maybe we won't be here unless we time travel. And I think that for that reason, since it's all smoke and mirrors, I do believe that we are going to get another bull run. And the fact that Bitcoin is now seeming like it's going to do exactly the same thing pretty much it's done before, and the cycle's not changed. It's actually pretty normal. We just got because of the ETF, we got an all-time high early. That's great news for everybody. That means that you can accumulate and make money, and you still have time to sell a top and wait for one more cycle and be able to make big money again. And I think all that is super important stuff for investors. And if you're going to make money with PulseChain, you got to understand what Bitcoin is doing. That's the only way you know how what's happening in this market is what Bitcoin is doing.
Or be a builder or a founder. I mean, I've made more money this cycle and it's just begun than I made since 2014. So I'm having so much fun just connecting people, connecting projects, and doing things, and financing new projects, and doing all that. I'd rather do that than go back and just be a hodler like I was back in 2014.
Here's a question for you: have you ever had dry, crackling skin? I know I have, and I've used things like Aquaphor or Vaseline or Jergens to help myself. But have you ever had a dry loan? There's nothing worse than a dry loan. A dry loan can absolutely sink you. It's a loan. There's no liquidity in this loan. That's why it's dry. There's only one kind of loan that we like on this channel, and it's a liquid loan that gets you real wet. Corey, tell us about this soaking, pulsating loan.
Yeah, so Liquid Loans is the first truly decentralized lending protocol built specifically for PulseChain. They have, outside if you consider the RH tickers, which are PHEX, Incentive Token, PulseX, and PulseChain, they have the largest TVL, to my knowledge, right now on PulseChain outside the RH tickers. They have a fully backed stable coin. They just launched a new project, I believe, called Gold PulseChain, which is a repository of information surrounding PulseChain, which is great. They have a low 110% collateral ratio, no repayment schedule, immutable, they're governance free, and they have no admin keys, which is fantastic. So yeah, Liquid Loans is a fantastic project on PulseChain. And yeah, you guys should check out Liquid Loans. I highly recommend them.
LiquidLoans.io, we appreciate them sponsoring all 10 episodes that we did of the PulseChain podcast. Definitely appreciate them. Ever felt overwhelmed by your finances? Let me share a secret from our friends at Liquid Loans, the proud sponsors of the Zone 5 podcast. They've created a platform that turns financial chaos into clarity. Secure, quick, and simple. Liquid Loans is all about unlocking your financial freedom. Want to know more? Dive into their website and discover how you can achieve financial peace of mind. Your journey to freedom starts now. LiquidLoans.io. So, yeah, this time I think let's check out what's going on. And I do want to say really quickly before Corey begins interviewing our guest here, I would like to say Jake Chains and I are going to do another podcast, and we're going to figure out a way to kind of integrate Bro Token with that. But we're going to try and see how that works. And it's around stuff that dudes like, and goes to kind of our early days of Beards and Bitcoins. A lot of people saw the Richard Hart interview on the Beards and Bitcoin show with me and Jay Chains. It's one of the most famous interviews he did early on. So very interesting stuff. Funny story, we did one interview with him and the recording got messed up. He had to come back 2 weeks later and do it again.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of people don't know that. We were a little more aware of what it was when doing it the second time. But we think most likely it's going to be centered around probably like watching and criticizing fights, I think, because we both fight now. So you guys stay tuned. Pay attention for that. That's going to come at some point. But definitely we want to get to know Randy a little bit. And we're going to let Corey take it away. He's got some questions prepared, and let's check it out.
Sure. So, Randy, I want to ask you, for those who may not know, about your work in PulseChain ecosystem. I mean, one thing that's very important in a blockchain is bringing projects together, and it's obvious that's not an easy feat in a new blockchain or an old blockchain. It doesn't really matter. So, I want to ask you, how have you brought PulseChain projects together?
Well, goes back to my days with Jeff Berwick, Dollar Vigilante. I was his social media guy. We knew how to build a community. Anarchapulco, for those of you guys who out there who know, there's a lot of folks who were involved back in the day.
Is that still going on?
Yeah, it still goes on. Jeff and I don't talk anymore. Had a falling out over Hex. It was over Hex. His Mr. X didn't like Hex, so
I gotcha.
and they kept talking shit, and so therefore I left and did a rage quit. But they're still doing it. So I learned how to build a community. And I came and I did the same thing over here on the Hex and PulseChain community. I started No Permissions. And within No Permissions, we started having people join who have assets. My community is over 40, guys and gals who have money are looking to put it places. And a lot of them are just looking to earn yield. And they want something to do with their assets. So that's what we do. That's what we teach. And they've been having a great time with it. And what I've done is that there may be some people in the group that they don't have understanding of how to launch something in crypto or how to build something in crypto. So I just put everyone together. We use now we have a platform called The Forge, which is a place where you can come launch your projects. And we'll take you through the whole thing. We'll help you find devs. We'll do a raise for you. We'll hold the money, so therefore you're not going to rug. We'll do all those kind of things. I think that's really important moving forward in crypto. We need to build up a little bit of trust again. What I'm seeing over right now in Solana, kind of nothing. I don't hate Solana, but
what about on Tron? Is it Tron?
Yeah, man.
Or Tron, I just talked about this yesterday about Tron. I come from Steemit. I worked with Dan Larimer. I was the social media guy for Steemit, and going back in the day, Ben, you guys probably know Dan.
I've actually never spoken to him, but I'm very, very familiar with who he is. And George from Cryptos Are Us. And I got into a big argument in 2018 because I said I didn't think that Yas was I thought he would serial entrepreneur again. And he did do that. And George got really mad at me. And George said that I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to build a business. I shouldn't critique him. And I'm not trying to outdraw George. This is a public story. I mean, it's not a big deal. Me and George are cool now. But George said that I had never built a business. Like, actually, mother chucker, that's not true. Actually, I sold millions of dollars worth of tickets in revenue. Now, of course, I made 10 or 20% of that, but I think I did $12 million in 3 years on that. So I did really well, and I had already built a business at that point from 2011 to I closed it down in 2019. So I got to do a big argument, but I thought that was interesting. It was over Dan Larimer because I just thought, and I don't know what your personal feelings are about him after working for him, but to me, it was just like it seemed like he loves to create, and then as soon as tension comes, he's like, you know what? I think I'm out. You guys can do this on your own. And that
not the best manager, but he was a great builder. Right. He's a fellow anarcho-capitalist, so I really appreciate what he was doing. Yeah. And we got to learn how to build community there and just move forward. But then you had this guy named Justin Sun come in and buy Steemit, and it totally screwed me up. I kind of sided with Justin in the beginning because the guy came in and bought the company. The whole community shouldn't have gone up in arms. He did a legal purchase of the company, so it should have been fine. But they're like, oh my God, we don't need this scammer buying Steemit. And now you got Justin. His Tron network is now one of the top EVMs. And I mentioned yesterday, because I live in Panama. I don't live in the United States. I live in South America or Central America. Oh. And when you go and I want to go change money, guess what they want? They want Tron USDT. Yeah. Why do you think these motherfuckers want Tron USDT? It's because it's cartel money. The cartel's the one that's using Tron USDT. It's not regular folks.
Hold on. Time out. When you say cartel, when you say cartel,
some people went to Panama not too long ago.
Well, it was Costa Rica, wasn't it? Or was it Panama?
It was Panama.
Well, my question is that what cartel are you talking about?
I'm not going to name names. I like my neck.
Okay, so it's
what it means. So you mentioned in Panama, you said they want Tron.
Yeah, so if you go, there's local people that you can go to if I want $100,000 cash, I can go have USDT Tron and they'll give me $100K cash. But they don't want, they will not take USDC. They don't want USDC.
That's very interesting.
I remember Quinn and I were doing speaking engagements at colleges and Tron conferences for Tron at some point early on. And they actually, I think there is a Tron conference in Panama.
Is there?
I think so. Let me double check.
I don't pay attention anymore. I kind of stay in my own bubble.
It may not be anymore, but they did have one at some point. I'm pretty sure.
Listen, when you move abroad and you're in crypto as we are, you want to keep a low profile.
It's too late for me, but I wish I could.
I know, I couldn't move anywhere with him.
Yeah, but if you were here, no one would care about. No one would care about you guys. They really wouldn't. They like their local stars. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't find it here, but there was one. I'm almost positive but I know they had one maybe in Venezuela too. They're trying to get us to go to 2 foreign ones. I had actually not been out of the country for crypto yet at that point. But I had something I wanted to show you guys really quickly. I think you're gonna really, really, really enjoy this. What is? I recorded this back in 2019, March of 2020, so beginning of 2020, right after it was right. You will know this. It was right after the pandemic crash, actually, when Justin Sun bought that. But I actually made a video on this. And we'll go ahead. We'll see if we can bring this to the stage here. See if we can full screen this puppy. And let's see here what we can. Let's see what this is. Let's watch this. This will be fun. Look at that hair. What the frick was wrong with it?
Crypto is supposed to be all about decentralization, right? The truth is, while it may have started out with a libertarian-style message of defeating the establishment, it's no longer really about that. Yes, there are undercurrents beneath the crypto space where these messages thrive. But in reality, many top crypto projects are far more like businesses than open source networks. This is the story of what happens when the idea of decentralization is pitted against a burgeoning empire and how decentralization made a comeback. Let's get it.
Hold on here.
Tales of dastardly to share.
It gets better here.
Once upon a time, in a land far away, there was a community of artists, friends, and neighbors. They lived happily together and were delighted to share each other's lives with one another. The land wasn't perfect, though. There were tales of dastardly acts and people who broke the laws and guidelines of the community that were set before the members. But all in all, it was a harmonious place marked with awe and wonder. Sometimes at night, the children of the community would gather round as the elders told stories from ancient times about the beginning of the community. They were told the wonderful stories of creation of the community structure and financial system. But as you would expect, the younger generation didn't care about the financial system. They wanted to hear the tales of bravery, knights, and dragons. One tale involved a dragon as old as the sun, one who had a mighty roar and fierce claws. The dragon had already defeated many other lands and took them as his own. Everywhere he went, the people were scared, for when the dragon descended upon their lands, it was relentless, destroying everything in its path. One evening, as our beloved community was winding down for bed, they heard a terrible noise. It was the terrifying dragon, and it was real. It had finally come to their community. The townspeople were so scared, they did not know where to turn. The dragon announced it would be taking over the lands, and there was nothing the people could do about it. The evil creature removed all of the political figures and leadership from the royal table, and any who were not forcibly removed left on their own, brokenhearted. The community wallowed in its pity, but then there was an idea that spread like wildfire from one person to the next. You see, the dragon had overtaken the land, but the community was made up of the people, and the people could not be overtaken. They hatched a plan to escape the dragon's clutches by collectively moving to another place. This place would not be able to be touched by the dragon. It was theirs, and they called it Hive.
There you go. There you go.
Every month, this Airbnb.
Maybe Cassie and Corey are lost on context there.
That is exactly the story. That's what happened.
Yeah, that's it. So what happened was you had Steem It. There was a community where a lot of the earlier people made a lot of the money, like in most stuff, obviously. And unfortunately, it kind of lost its way. It was clunky. It was its early blockchain. It was hard to use. A lot. Like I remember you had like three. You had the G power and this and this and all that. And then Justin Sun came in after he had just bought Poloniex, I think, and he came in and he bought Steem It, and the Steem It people were pissed. That would be like me buying the cryptocurrency subreddit.
Yeah.
They hate me there. Like they hate Justin Sun on Steem It, because it's a more decentralized crowd and he's all about centralization. And so that's what happened. And so they forked it and they created Hive, and that's where they went. And I think it still runs today. But of course, like a lot of Dan Larimer projects, the beginning of it was about most of the genesis of it. And well, it was the genesis of it, but there wasn't a New Testament really.
Pretty good. I mean, I think I made about $250,000 in the first year.
Yeah, well, right. And when I first got on it in 2017, I did okay. Like I made a few $100, and I had just started. Like I thought it was pretty cool. Like I had not made any money doing anything, and so I thought it was a really cool kind of platform. But it was, in my opinion, like a lot of Dan Larimer things are, it was just overcomplicated. And I think in crypto, that's a big problem, is when things are overcomplicated. Yeah. It's hard for people to take hold of it. Yep. And if people are still able to take hold of it and it is complicated, you can bet your bottom dollar if it doesn't fix the complication, the next cycle it's not going to. Yeah. And that's what we've seen with Cardano, I think. Point. So, but yeah.
And that actually leads me to a good point and good question is to Randy is like, what are some obstacles for PulseChain do you think that we face in Richard's, not being on the forefront right now? Like what is next for PulseChain? How does it overcome the obstacles so that we don't have these issues? Like Ben,
well, we need leadership. We need quality leadership, guys. That's you need some people to step up. I kind of stepped down. Maybe I'll step forward a little bit more, but I'm not gonna be doing live streams. Screw that shit. I'm not doing that too much. So, I just don't enjoy them. I don't enjoy it. I had a lot of fun with it. Then the trolls start finding you, and I'd rather be behind the paywall. Yeah. I just enjoy it a lot more. Like I got a strategy call tonight in 2.5 hours. It'll be great. It'll be 100 people in there. We're talking about all kinds of great stuff, and there won't be any trolls. I'd much prefer that. But yes, we do need leadership, and the personal attacks against one another, I think, is just dumb. This camp hates this camp. We're all in the same camp. We're all on PulseChain. I'm more of the more broad people in the community. I have tokens. I believe in Ton. I've got Ethereum. I've got other things. But there's a lot of people in the PulseChain community that are just PulseChain, and I think that's madness. I think that's madness.
I agree. I think it just in any portfolio, in anything you're doing in investing, it's just always better to diversify. It's always better. You don't end up in a situation like this. You don't want to over diversify. That can be a bad thing too, but you want to diversify. And I think that's what a lot of people have to do. But I think at this point, guys, I do believe that we've got to cut it off. We got to cut off the show today. This is me signing off on the PulseChain. Show 5 PulseChain podcast. I appreciate you guys. I will at some point make a reappearance with Corey. I'll come on the show at some point, and we are still going to support the PulseChain community. I do think the most elite, the most exotic, exclusive Duchess of all Duchesses, the Duchess of DeFi, Cassie Wolf, for joining us on the episodes of the PulseChain podcast. And of course, Corey will be. You guys can see the PulseChain podcast with Corey coming up, and watch from Brian J. Chain's podcast. I'm not sure exactly when we're going to start that yet. And Randy, would like to thank you for coming on the show and being a guest. Look forward to interacting with you on Twitter and things like that. And appreciate all you guys. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate the audience. Appreciate the PulseChain community. Hope we made you feel a little bit better today. Don't worry about your bags right now. I think everything's going to be fine. And I think that's all I got. Be blessed.
For sure.
Real quick, Randy, where can everybody find you?
Well, let's keep it simple. One place, patreon.com/no permissions. That's where you can
All
find
right.
content and join our community.
Perfect. And you guys will see the PulseChain Podcast social here soon. Corey, let everybody know where they can find you and they can get more information about where the PulseChain Podcast is going.
Sure. You can find me on Twitter at Corey Costa123 and YouTube Corey Costa's Crypto Coins. There you
That's
go.
right.
You'll see me there.
Well, big shout out to Corey. Corey, you've really done a great job. Corey organized all the guests and the sponsors and everything. So definitely a big shout out to Corey, a great friend in a space where it's really hard to have people that are actual friends. So thank you, Corey.
No, brother. Thank you.
Okay. Well, hey guys, appreciate everything. And that's all we got for today. PulseChain Podcast is out. Good boy out. Thank you to Liquid Loans, the sponsor of the Zone 5 podcast. With Liquid Loans, you never have to sell your Pulse. Hashtag never selling. With liquidloans.io, never selling is more than just a meme. It's actually kind of possible. So if you've ever wanted to have your Lambo and drive it too, then start your zero interest free loan journey today. Liquidloans.io.